The federal government says it won't stop at anything to prosecute those funding terrorism in the country. The AGF says it is profiling some highly placed persons allegedly involved in terrorism financing in the country. And President Buhari appears worried over the attitude and activities of smugglers on the impact on the economy. The president says some people are mercilessly against this country. Hello everyone and welcome to this Friday edition of Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye. Let's begin by telling you that it's perhaps the end of the road for some over 70 political parties that will not longer exist. The Supreme Court has affirmed the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which upheld the deregistration of National Unity Party and 73 others. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had last year deregistered the parties over failure to win any election during the 2019 general election. In the judgment delivered by Justice Adamu Jauro, the Apex Court held that the deregistration of the parties was done in line with the law and compliance with the extant provisions of the Constitution and the Electoral Act. In the appeal before the Apex Court, the NUP had challenged the INEC's decision at the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal. The Abuja Division of the Appeal Court had on July the 29th, 2020, affirmed the powers of INEC to deregister political parties. Delivering the lead judgment of a panel of the Supreme Court today, Justice Muhammad Idris held that INEC did not err in law in its decision. So much to talk about tonight, but yes, we have some other political stories for you on our political roundup.
The Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says the socio-economic challenges and widespread insecurity being expressed in the country can be brought under control if the citizens play active roles in electing capable leaders come 2023. The governor says the nonchalant attitude of Nigerians during elections creates the loopholes for the emergence of incompetent persons whose policies and programs negatively affect the nation.
We either bring ethnicity or religion, not looking at who actually can help Nigeria move to the next state of development.
The resident electoral commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Ondo State, Dr. Rufus Akeju, says one of the major reasons for the reduction in voter turnout in the last 4 electoral cycles in Nigeria is due to voters' access to polling units. The INEC state boss today met with stakeholders on the implementation of the expansion of voter access to polling units in Nigeria in Akure, the Ondo State capital. According to Mr. Akeju, the INEC decided to expand the polling units in the country to curb the challenges of overcrowding, delay in the electoral process, violence, as well as voter apathy at the polling units.
Some polling units are even located in inappropriate places that are neither friendly nor helpful to the process.
And similar exercises ongoing in Yobe State, and all is geared to decongest existing polling units, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, and improve the quality of access to electoral services, as well as provide safety for voters. The Independent National Electoral Commission is seeking approval to convert 1,109 voting points to polling units in Yobe State.
Now decided to create or to convert the voting points into full-fledged polling unit.
So let's tell you that the Presidential Economic Advisory Council has submitted recommendations of its findings to the President Muhammadu Buhari regarding the economy at their 6th regular meeting today. The chairman of the committee, Professor Doyin Salami, submitted that the global economy has continued to improve as COVID infections drop and rollout of vaccination intensifies, adding that the Nigerian economy, though out of recession, remains fragile with inflation rising, unemployment high and external account weak. And part of the recommendations include taking a decisive end to all forms of insecurity in the country, mobilization of resources for investment, hastened implementation of agricultural reform policies, passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill as a basis for revitalizing the industry, poverty reduction, employment generation, and incentives for private investment in irrigation to promote all-year-round farming. On his part, the president says agriculture was a good way for the country to overcome economic challenges confronting it, but some people, according to him, are mercilessly against the country. The president was quoted as saying, "Some people are mercilessly against this country. We close the borders to control smuggling of petroleum products and check the influx of smuggled goods and arms and ammunition." That was when the Comptroller General of Customs called me saying 40 tankers laden with petrol had been impounded. I told him to sell the fuel, sell the trucks, and put the money in the treasury. They still brought arms and ammunition into the country, brought in rice in vehicles and motorcycles. I said, shoot anyone found illegally with AK-47, yet they haven't stopped. People must show consideration for their own country, end of quote. And the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the government is profiling some highly placed persons in the society allegedly involved in terrorism financing for prosecution. Take a listen to him.
And I'm happy to report that arising from the wider coverage investigation that has been conducted in Nigeria, a number of people, both institutional and otherwise, were found to be culpable, were found to, reasonable grounds for suspicion of terrorist financing have been established or perhaps has been proven to be in existence in respect of the transactions of certain higher profile individuals and businessmen across the country. And I'm happy to report that investigation has been ongoing for long and it has reached an advanced stage. As to the number, because the investigation is ongoing and it has to be conclusive before one can arrive at a certain number. But one thing I can tell you is a large number and they are being profiled for prosecution. It is indeed a large number and I'm not in a position to give you with precision the number as at now because the profiling and investigation is ongoing. Nobody is going to be spared. No stone will be left unturned. We shall certainly and aggressively pursue those people that are involved in terrorist financing as far as the Nigerian state is concerned.
So tonight, our attention is on the politics of Imo State. A few days ago, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, was on the program where he spoke at length on the state of affairs and what he is doing to tackle the insecurity situation. But tonight, we'll be hearing from opposition People's Democratic Party. A former secretary to the state government and former member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Uche Onyegocha, joins us on the program. Today was reported the security operatives says they have killed at least 8 hoodlums in an encounter in Olu area of Imo State. A police source told Channels Television that the incident occurred while the hoodlums were on their way to attack Olu police station yesterday evening. They were, however, ambushed and neutralized in a joint operation by the military and the police. It was gathered that several vehicles suspected to have been stolen and used by the hoodlums in the operation were also recovered. Let's speak with Honorable Onyegocha, who is going to be speaking for his political party. He has shown interest in this matter of Imo State. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Let me begin by asking you, we had the governor, Hope Uzodinma, on the program a few days ago, and one of the reasons for the spate of attacks, according to him, he says there are political links to some of these issues. And he said that as soon as investigations are concluded, names will be published of those that are sponsoring these attacks on Imo State. Governor of Ebonyi State yesterday told us, Dave Umahi, he said on his own part, the situation in the southeast could be blamed on failure of past leaders. In your own view and the view of your political party, what is at the bottom or what's the cause of what we are seeing in Imo State and in Southeast? Because Imo State is not insulated in this.
Thank you very much, Shehu. But let me start by saying without equivocation that the PDP opposition in Imo State, led by Governor Meki Hedioha, has no hand whatsoever in the violence ravaging Imo State. We cannot afford to be, because these are people who voted for us, and there is no way we can allow violence to be visited on them. But back to the issues.
But is there any thinking that it might be involved?
Well, the way they have been mentioning opposition, one is one to think that it's a blanket mention of opposition. The other time we had Senator Hope Usadima say that it was the Rochas group. The Inspector General of Police came and he said it was IPOB. But now they are saying blanket opposition, which means it could include anybody by their own estimation. So I have a responsibility, and I think we have a responsibility to exonerate ourselves by denying clearly that we have no hand in it whatsoever.
On 2 different occasions, I've interviewed Governor Opus Odema within the 2 months gap of this issue. The first time, I tried to ask him specifically, but he didn't mention names. 2 days ago, when I interviewed him also, he didn't mention names. So I'm wondering why you're thinking that the accusing finger may be to your side.
Because in the local newspapers in Imo State, they have even mentioned names and published pictures. They have mentioned my name, they have mentioned that of Governor Meki Edio and his deputy, and published our pictures in a newspaper called the White Paper. So we have a responsibility to at least respond to it. That's why I'm denying it without equivocation. That we have nothing to do with it.
Do you know
whatsoever.
any of those that have been arrested? There's
no.
a few people have been arrested.
Not at all.
There is a 42-year-old businessman that was said to have been arrested in Owerri, who owns a hotel. Do you know any of this person?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So you just wanted to clear the air?
Yeah, I needed to clear the air. Now, back to...
Sorry, apologies. But in your view, because this is the question I ask, so is there any political undertone to what you're saying? You've been in government. As a secretary of the government of the state, you understand a lot of things. From your own view, you think politics is an undertone in what we're seeing in terms of the insecurity in Imo State or in the Southeast presently?
Not at all. Because I would tell you without equivocation that when I was SSG, we had serious problem with the issues of herdsmen in Ebema. In fact, all the security heads were invited to my office, and we deliberated over this matter for 2 days running. Finally, I had to stay awake in my office till 2:30 a.m. on the night that Ebema was to have been up in flames with Fulani herdsmen being attacked or the Ebema community being attacked. But we were able to handle it and negotiate it until it was finally resolved. That remains a testimony. Ebema people can testify to it. At all times, there will be crisis. Even we inherited crisis from the administration that passed over to us. People were being beaten up on the streets of Douglas. Hoodlums were attacking people. But as soon as we got in, we started moving into this and negotiating. The truth remains that there will always be intelligence to guide government to handle situations like this. A former state director of SSS, Ejiofor, has appeared here and said intelligence was available to the Imo State government to the extent that the attack on the correctional center was going to happen and the attack on the police headquarters were going to happen. But nothing happened. We have not even had the state government deny it. The truth remains that the police is not properly equipped, let's face it. Because if you come to Imo State, there are no armored personnel carriers that they require to handle situations like this.
Even from the time you were in
Yes,
office?
even when we were in government.
What were the problems at that time?
Well, the problems is clear case of lack of funding on the police. Are they going to perform magic? I want to even tell you an incident that happened some years before we got into power. There was a bank called Standard Trust Bank, which later became UBA. And it was located somewhere on Wedra Road. That bank was attacked on a particular day around 12 midnight. And the robbers had a field day for 5 hours, looting and robbing the bank. And this bank is located less than 500 meters to the police headquarters, less than 500 meters to this correctional prison facility that was attacked. If that could happen at that time and the police couldn't do anything, why is anybody surprised that something like this happened this time around?
All right.
The only armored personnel carriers you see in Owerri are located, one at Tetlow Road by Assumpta Junction and the other one by High Court by Olu Road Junction. Why were they not deployed?
All right. So let's take a breather. And when we come back, more into some of the issues in Imo State, of course, the position of your political party in the situation. Also, is the solution, because lives are involved. Businesses of your own people are involved, and that's what we'll be looking at. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight on the program. So our attention is on security, politics of Imo State. Barrister Uche Enyegoche, well, people still being called barristers these days. I mean, that's not supposed to be a title.
Uche Enyegoche will do.
He's a lawyer, a former member of the House of Representatives and former secretary to the government of Imo State. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
He's been speaking on behalf of his political party, PDP. So you were saying that things were worse when you were in office, and you were talking about the condition of operation of the police. But from what you have seen and what you have noticed in the spate of the attacks and the attack on military formations, checkpoints, police headquarters, correctional facility, what in your mind could have caused all of these attacks?
I believe that there is so much poverty in the land. I believe there is so much unemployment in the land. I believe that the people are groaning under serious hardship. And this is causing a lot of young men to actually misbehave. That's a fact. We must take practical steps to alleviate the suffering and the poverty of the people. This is the only country in the whole universe which, after the COVID lockdown, increased the electricity tariff, increased the price of petroleum products. Nothing has come down since after the COVID lockdown. Considering that the economy was in tatters as a result of the COVID lockdown, there ought to be palliatives helping to alleviate the pain and suffering of the people. More and more people have lost jobs. So the truth is that people are in desperate situation. But I want to say that in every state, like in Imo and the rest of the Southeast, buying trucks and donating to security is not just the solution. It's just a little fraction of it. The most important thing is intelligence. The government must be able to relate with the people it is governing. Let us face it. The Imo State governor is from Uru East local government, and his neighboring local government is Olu and Osu. Why shouldn't he have intelligence of all what is happening in that area to be able to know when any of these matters is going to come up? Because the truth is that once you are a governor, everybody will try to have access to you. But how much are you willing to make yourself accessible to the people? The good, the bad, and the ugly will try to relate with you. And you should be able to get every information you need long before it creates any problem in your state.
How much of intel? I mean, you as much as close to the governor. I mean, the SSG is the scribe of the government. So it means that you have access to intelligence and information, not as much as the governor, but as much also. So how much of intelligence comes every day? If you look and dissect how we need to go forward from here, but we also need to know where we are coming from. As an SSG, how much of information or intelligence usually come up every day?
So much of it. The Department of State Security Service will avail you with a lot of information. The Commissioner of Police will avail you with a lot of information. They will even tell you how prepared they were at any given time. I have once been informed by the police leadership, sorry, Uche, we don't even have tear gas canisters to manage the situation at hand. I have been told that. And as a former member of House of Representatives who was a member of the police committee of the House of Reps, I know that the police is heavily unprepared to do the task before them. And we have to change that situation. The morale of the police is very low. Anytime you see any police officer properly dressed, he bought the uniform with his own money. That's the truth. We know it as a fact. Any police officer you see that is properly kitted is spending his own personal money doing that. And there is a limit to how much the police can go funding themselves or sponsoring themselves to do all this. we must pay special attention to police and intelligence gathering, and the government must make itself available. Government does not go to sleep. When Emeke Ihedioha was governor in Imo State, we used to stay awake as much as 3:30, 4 a.m. because it is when every other person has gone to sleep that a lot of information comes to you. And you must have your own access to get information from everybody, from every nook and cranny.
Right.
But politicizing the situation at hand does not solve the problem.
I mean, the AGF said there are people who are financing terror.
Yes.
So, and we've heard that politicians, some politicians, whose name will be public, that's the federal government saying this. So it's not far away from what Governor Uzodimma is saying. So if the federal government is saying that, and the state government is saying there's a linkage, isn't it, between all of this?
Well, in his own, he has already drawn the conclusion of the report of the team that he says is investigating the situation. In the case of the federal government, we already know that the United Arab Emirates were able to imprison some Nigerians for financing terrorism in Nigeria, and it is from that link they caught up with the rest of them. Right. So, I believe that if we are serious, we can checkmate all this situation and manage it. Government must make itself available to talk to people. And let me tell you, when Yar'Adua was president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I was, as a human rights lawyer, the lawyer who had access to the Niger Delta militants. I went, spoke to them, and convinced them that the federal government would send a delegation to meet them in the creeks. I took the then Minister for Works, Tony Aneni, and Timia Laibi to the creeks to meet with them. After meeting with them, we were able to convince them to come and surrender their arms. I came with them from the creeks. We met with President Yar'Adua, and they gave him their word that they are surrendering their arms and they will not go to war again. President Yar'Adua held me aside and told me, young man, I will not let you down. I'll keep to my promise. And he kept to his promise. The militants are all out ever since. We must find a lasting solution to these problems if we are serious.
Is Ebubeagwu a good way to go?
Ebubeagwu, as far as I'm concerned, is the initiative of the governors in the southeast, but we are yet to see how much they are moving into it. Are they doing it because they are trying to copy the southwest? Because everybody expected they ought to have done it at about the same time the southwest people were doing it. Go ahead and enact a law to that effect to show that you're serious. Show us the seriousness in what you're doing, like the people in southwest did with the case of Amoteku. But are you seeing that level of seriousness? I believe that if they show that level of seriousness, added to some other ways and means, we should be able to checkmate the situation in the southeast. The average Igbo man is not a violent person. The average Igbo man loves his life. The average Igbo man does not want to be deceived and told lies in the name of governance. He wants to see practical things because he's a community builder. And he spends his own resources supporting and helping government to achieve development in his community. But when government is not playing their own part by collaborating with him, he too can also get angry.
Let's wrap up the conversation because we've played politics at the national level.
Yes.
2023, where do you think the presidency should come from?
Southeast, without thinking twice.
Is it because you are wearing the red hat?
Not just because I'm wearing the red hat.
And you go by
but it's the political parties that would decide. The political
what
parties
is your
would
party
decide.
thinking? I mean, because I know that I'm not on the sideline.
I am not in the leadership of the party.
No. I'm talking as you as a member of the party now. What is the thinking of your colleagues, of your friends?
Well, the party has left it open at the moment that it should go either way, whether north, east, south, or central, because as an opposition political party, PDP is more focused on winning rather than trying to do
so winning
political balance.
Also means that you are saying that if your party wants to win, they need to go the Igbo way.
Well, the truth is that they are assessing all the opportunities available and looking at how may they have the best opportunity to win. Because wherever they find a situation that can help them to win the election more than any other thing, I'm sure they will do it.
Honorable Uche Onyegocha, former member of the House of Reps and a former secretary to the government of Imo State, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
God bless you.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. Bye-bye.